So one thing that is kind of, I don't know if cringe is the right word, but there is something to be said about like everyone is celebrating getting something they should have never lost in the first place. You know what I mean? Like I don't remember exactly every tweet you were talking about the other day, but it's like 99% of that shouldn't have ever been um, unspeakable language, right?
Yeah, that's the whole point. That's why it's a flood of all these things, is because it's just like these are things that are just normal statements. They're not politically motivated. Only
And
women can menstruate. Not like a, but that it was at the time and still is a controversial thing to say.
I guess that's my point. There still is that element of this shouldn't even be controversial. This shouldn't even be a big deal. It is. I'm not denying that it is.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just saying
okay.
there is a like elephant stump element. Like where what I mean is like how they train an elephant to not realize that he can move the stump because when he's younger he can't move it, and then as he gets older, he just thinks that he can't move it. So my thought is like I don't know, like as I'm listen, I like I said, I count this as a victory. I count this as a win. I'm happy for the people that care about this stuff, but we had really no choice, but we ended up accepting a climate of like where this did become a big deal. Does that make sense? Like it shouldn't have.
Kind of. But what do you mean accepted it? I don't think anyone accepted it. I think they were forced into it.
Yeah, I mean, people. Well, I guess we just talked about all those alt platforms. Even though there was tumbleweeds, there never was a push outside of Parlor to really do anything different. It was just like, let's still wait on this platform and wait on these major platforms to change. And I get it
But the
because
major platform matters. Like it's important. I think people try to minimize it because they don't like it or they don't care about it. It's like, yeah, maybe you don't, but all the influential people do. So
I'm not
it
even coming down
matters.
from the it doesn't matter perspective, but there was never a push to like everyone just went. We did it too. We just all went to the cold words. We all went to this, and there were never a unified, organized pushback. If Elon doesn't buy Twitter, this we're still dealing with this no speech.
Because it's no one's a billionaire. We don't have this power to like influence culture like that. Like that's why this is such a huge deal. Like because this was just a fucking atom bomb in their plan. Like that you can't. A collection of conservatives isn't going to get Twitter back. That's never going to happen. They got rid of the fucking president of the United States. It was
I'm
like there's no one more powerful. They got rid of him off of Twitter. And so, what are you supposed to do? What kind of pushback is there that you could organize?
the pushback was to go to a different platform and actually make it relevant, and no one did that.
How do you do that? How do you manufacture a platform?
I I'm not saying I know the answer to, but that is because he still has a board, he still has people to answer to. What happens if all this free speech gets reverted in a few
He
months?
doesn't have a board. It's going to be a private company.
It's going to be a completely private company where he
Mm-hmm.
just him.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Well, I mean, what happens if he just changes his mind because it's not at the whims of him? He's like, you know what? Fuck free speech.
Hey, I don't know. What if a meteor hits Elon and kills him? And I mean, I don't know about the what ifs. All I know is that right now, this is awesome.
Yeah, it is. And that is awesome, but it just there is an element that is like everyone's celebrating being able to say things they should have already been able to say, and there is still, I guess, the alternative. People have talked about like an alternative economy or like an alternative, not just when it comes to media, not just when it comes to social media, but just stuff in general. Like, okay, let's do our own thing. I mean, shit, they canceled people's bank accounts, people's GoFundmes, all sorts of shit for being off brand or narrative. But it's I don't feel like. I guess that's my thought is there were a lot of people who talked a good game about that and really did nothing, and are still just waiting on. I hope Elon Musk buys it. You know what I mean? That's not hope is not a strategy. So there was, I guess that's what my point is. There was really no strategy to change this ever. If Elon doesn't buy this, yes, I'm not saying don't celebrate it.
Well, what
Don't be the
what
victim.
could there be? What could there have been? Let's just say that was your goal in life, Edge. Like, what could you do? How exactly could you execute that?
I would say there were enough. social media, and a lot of people try to like, all right, I have a mind, but no one really tried to make minds popular. No one did anything, and I'm not saying they should have, but I'm just saying I don't care about this conversation. I do care, you know what I mean? But I'm not really a social media guy. I'm not the mover and shaker and thought provoker. I'm looking at it kind of as an outsider looking in. Yeah, obviously I comment, I do YouTube, but I'm saying, okay, if what you cared about was free speech, you what did you do to actually push it forward? You know what I mean? And could all the creators that existed in the quote unquote conservative or non-leftist space have done a better job of saying, hey, we're picking platform A and we're going to push everybody towards platform A
Yeah, but
and
they
try to
do
make it.
that, and then it just becomes a conservative echo chamber that's completely irrelevant. So it's like big deal. They effectively got rid of you. Way to go. You know, it's like now they could just write off the entire platform instead of individual creators that share their platform, right?
Which is
Like there's something about popularity. There's something about the fact that it's the place to go. What are we doing here? We're on YouTube still, right? Okay,
yeah,
Vidge, we believe in this. Let's go only do Odyssey now, right? It's not that easy.
I know it's not, but I mean, well, I'm not celebrating the Twitter thing. I'm saying, oh, that's nice, thumbs up.
I am
Cool beans.
celebrating. I'm definitely celebrating because it's a huge victory for the scope of conversation, like what can and can't be said on a massive platform. That's a big deal. Like we act like, oh, it's just Twitter. Twitter's not real life. Twitter is absolutely real life. You get canceled on Twitter. What happens? What happens when you get kicked off Twitter? Right? They find your employer. They find, you know what I mean? Like you talk about the bank accounts.
Yeah,
Like, it does matter. So now
yeah.
that like the next time some like crazy leftist tries to take down Tucker Carlson, a bunch of other people can take them down first. They can like, not necessarily in their methods, but can attack them, refute their facts, insult them, all this stuff. Before they had like this magic blue bubble around them and that couldn't happen. Now it can. And I think that it's going to impact the culture tremendously.
I hope I kind of think so too, and I hope that's correct. But I mean, the plan of I get that you're 100% right. It's not easy to just overnight mobilize and get any alternative platform, but I still think that now that seemingly the end for an alternative platform exists, there's still an issue there. Like, I guess that this is a band-aid. There's still an issue that isn't going to be corrected just because this happened.
I mean, this did not save the world, no. But
I'm
it's
not
a
saying
big
I'm not
step in the
saying
right
no.
direction.
It is a step in the right direction, but at the end of the day, it's just people depending and hoping billionaire corporations go the way they want them to, and it's not
They're
always going to.
powerful, man. We can't. I don't know. I fail to see your point. I fail to see like what's a viable alternative. I think what do we do? I mean, we're essentially a pirate ship, right?
Yeah,
I mean, look, man, I love doing this show. I don't know how much impact we have. And it's like we have
yeah.
this whole fandom menace, right? We like rally behind Gary and all these people, right? And it's like Obi-Wan's show's coming out. It didn't
Mhm.
stop that. Like we can't just if it's not exactly what we want, well, it's not good. It's like I don't know what you're saying.
Well, I'm saying if this conversation, because at first, again, the Twitter conversation is something I have a element of blindness, but I guess is if having free speech on the internet is important to you, then is your goal just to hope Elon Musk buys it?
I don't think anyone saw this coming, dude. I don't think this was like the plan of conservatives for a while.
Because there was none. That's what I'm
They
addressing.
tried. I mean, there was Parlor,
Parler was probably the best attempt, and then they
and
just
then
like,
it
oh,
got shut down. It's like
well,
how many?
it eventually came back, and there was no repush for it. It was like, oh, then they just splintered over together to all these other things, and it was disorganized. I guess my point is, if free speech on the internet is your thing, then do you have a plan, or is it just hope for the best? Because hope's not a strategy. Just because something good happened, I'm glad this happened. But hope is not a strategy. So there is no strategy for free speech on the internet. And if that's the way we're rolling, cool. I'm gonna keep doing this YouTube thing. I'm gonna keep doing my thing. But I guess that's my comment. Not even a issue. I don't necessarily have all the answers to it. I'm not saying that throw away this victory. I'm saying this is a victory. This is it's good to see a leftist platform be infiltrated for once, and it's good to see free speech be championed at least for now. But if there's no plan for free speech on the internet, and the plan is just hope the big corporations agree with us, there still is an issue. That's really the point I'm trying to say. And unfortunately, as arduous and seemingly impossible to me, from what I stand, there has to be some push for some alternative platforms to exist, because all these platforms, I mean, Reddit, I mean, I know it existed 10 years ago, 15 years ago, but it wasn't as big as it is now. These things grow. And I guess, if there's a knock, this is probably going to kill the push for those alternative platforms, at least temporarily.
I don't really care about the alternative platforms until the big platforms become unviable. Like, I'm not like a guy who I'm not, it's only matters if it's independent and small. Like, I like YouTube still, you know what I mean? But I wish it was freer. I wish there was more free speech on it for sure. But like, I'm not leaving.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying the problem of free speech on the internet has not been solved by Elon Musk buying Twitter, even if it's an accomplishment. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, but that's what could be? What magic wand could you? If the president of the United States couldn't do anything about it, man, I don't know what a collective of conservatives could do.
I'm not saying change Twitter's mind. I'm saying create an alternative that's more than just a bunch of conservatives jerking off on it, and no one did that.
I'm sure if someone could, they would, because that would make them $1 billion.
Yeah. But
you have any thoughts? I mean, I'd be willing to go into business.
Okay, let's get it done then. Let's get it. Let's try to get a business plan. Let's try to get.
Do you know anything about how to code? Do you know anything about programming? Oh, all right, well, good. We'll make our next. We'll call it shitter.
Man, I don't listen.
I don't know what your point. I don't know. It seems like you kind of want to be cynical.
I'm not. I don't want to be cynical. I'm saying that my point is, the internet got a little freer because of the whims of a billionaire, and then everyone is celebrating the whims of a billionaire. Like, yes, I'm being agreed with now, and that's cool. But like, so there is no plan. I'm trying to clarify: is there a plan for free speech over the internet? Yes or no? If the answer is no, and we just hope it works out, that's cool.
What is that? What is it? What would a plan look like? What would a plan for free speech look like?
A plan.
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Is there are how many conservative commentators, not just fandom minutes, just all in general, with enough clout to which they tried with Parler, and then after it didn't work with Parler because they didn't have an AWS, and even though there's they're trying to invest